It's Friday, and you know what that means. Another episode of Between the Pipes, along with Archie and Wade. Wade, how are you today, buddy?
I'm doing well. We have a game starting in a half an hour. The Habs are down 2 games. They're back in Montreal, hoping to get a little bit more momentum from the hometown crowd. I guess they got what I think they tried to get like a half capacity arena, but the government of Quebec said no. You're going to stick to 3,500 or whatever it is. So, but they have a viewing outside of the Bell Center now, where I mean, there's probably just thousands of fans being able to cheer on from outside the building and watch outside. So that's kind of cool. I mean, we know how Jurassic Park and Maple Leaf Square goes when the Leafs are in the playoffs, and we're able to kind of gather outside downtown Toronto. It's a party. It's the good atmosphere, and yeah. But other than that, man, I guess we're kind of waiting for this game to start, right, Archie? It's been. I mean, what more could you say? Two games to none for Tampa Bay. They've looked like a Stanley Cup playoff team and a good one. So we'll see what happens. But I am good, sir. Things are bright. Things are getting better. Things are opening up. Yeah, man. How about you, bud? How are things on your side?
Things are good. And yeah, they were mentioning earlier that, the logic behind this whole 3,500 people in the arena and about 25,000 outside in the streets. The logic behind it, people are still kind of questioning it. I'm questioning it. At this point, I don't see the reason why they're not opening it up to fans. I mean, I'd be pretty pissed if I was in Montreal right now as a Habs fan, but I'm not, so I really don't care. But that being said, it does suck. It does suck for them. They're down 2-0. They're going to need everything they can get to get behind them. Hopefully the crowd is not going to be the factor in this one because they're in trouble. This is steep. 2-0 down to Tampa Bay. We'll get right into it. I mean, after watching those first 2 games, it looks like it's a different Montreal team, or it just simply is a better Tampa Bay. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think is the main factor that's the reason why we're sitting at 2-0 Tampa right now when, based on how Montreal did so far getting there, you would have expected a little more of a fight, at least in game 2.
Archie, you just said it yourself, buddy. Listen, Montreal has been it's been an amazing underdog story. Like, don't get me wrong. It's been really cool to see what they've done to, the likes of the Leafs and Winnipeg and Vegas. I mean, that was the biggest surprising series of them all for sure for me. But you just said it, buddy. I think Tampa Bay is just a different animal. It's a machine that's built differently. They're just on the cut. They're reigning Stanley Cup champions. These guys have a team. They're tough. They're big. Every line can score. Their defense doesn't take no shit. They clear you out in front of the net. You've seen Gallagher try to get in there a few times, and you try to mix it up, try to throw Vasilevsky off his game. And who's sitting there? McDonough, Hedman, Sergachev, Savard. These are big motherfucking guys, man, and they don't take shit. And you kind of put it simply, Archie. You said, is Tampa just a fucking better team than what Montreal has kind of faced in this playoffs? Hell yeah. I think that's hitting the nail right on the head right there, dude. I just think Tampa Bay's is differently. And, man, the talent, their big players show up. Kucherov's leading the NHL right now in playoffs for points right now. He's been unbelievable. What are you going to do, man? Braden Point's flying around. The skill that they have, the talent, they all work hard for each other. They know what it takes to win. And not taking anything away from Montreal. Montreal has tried to play a game, but you can't expect to shut down 2 or 3 fucking lines, because that's kind of what happened with this Deneau line, shutting down the Matthews line, shutting down the Wheeler line, then shutting down the Mark Stone line. Well, you got Stamkos on the second line. Like we've talked about this before, Arch. You got him on the second line. You got Braden Point and Kucherov on the first line. You got that killer power play. They pass the puck quickly. They get it off their sticks quickly. And man, that power play, man, that's one of the biggest things. Like, as soon as Montreal takes a penalty, it's like, here we go. This power play is lethal. I don't know what the percentage is, but hell, it's got to be close to 35% that they're scoring in Stanley Cup playoffs right now if they have a power play. That Kucherov and Stamkos sitting at the hash marks off the circle from both sides with crazy one-timers with accuracy and how fast that comes out of the cannon. Come on, man. Those goals, these guys play hard, man. And just like the Blake Coleman goal recently, these guys are coming at you hard. That just a play like that, desperation, last second, 0.3 seconds left in a period, and you have guys trying that hard to fucking win a hockey game and score a goal. And Blake Coleman is what, a fourth line guy, maybe third, fourth, I don't know, but he's definitely not one of their more prized possessions. And look what they're doing. They're getting scoring from everywhere. Montreal needs to win tonight if they want to keep this thing even. I even said, if they go down 2-0, you're not going to beat fucking Tampa 4 games. I'm sorry. Underdog story. They were in that position before, kind of, with Toronto and everything. But this is Tampa Bay Lightning, reigning Stanley Cup champions. They're pretty healthy, and they're ready to fucking win a Stanley Cup, especially in front of their hometown crowd, which they didn't get to do that last year because of the pandemic. So they got a lot of momentum. The Lightning crowd is going crazy. John Travolta's there fucking hyping them up. And that's it. That's what I think, Archie. I could have summarized it a little bit easier, but in the quick summary of things, I'll say it, I think it's the third time. Tampa Bay is a much different animal than any other team that Montreal's come in and faced in these playoffs, and Montreal's learning about it right now.
Yeah, and I mean, I got to agree on that comment about Coleman, with dying seconds left. He didn't really have to do that, but I mean, he dove and made the effort, and my goodness, what a goal that was. And now over the last few games after game 1, and they're kind of making mention throughout the whole series. And I'm going to agree here I've watched more than just the Leafs throughout this whole playoffs, and the officiating has been quite inconsistent as always. This in particular, some of the complaints are coming with regards to some really obvious missed penalties. Connor McDavid is out of the playoffs, and he's still commenting on how he'd like to see better officiating. We saw Corey Perry take the high stick right in front of the ref, bloody nose and all, no call. Brendan Gallagher, he's a pain in the ass. Everybody knows it, but gets pile driven down to the ice, head split open. Didn't realize how bad it was after seeing the next day. It had like 3 cuts on his head. Looked like he got into a fight with Edward Scissorhands or something. But no call there either, because I guess the type of player he is. Actually, there was a call, but it was on the wrong guy, not even on the guy that took him down, which was kind of weird. They just kind of pulled someone out of the scrum, and it turned out to be the wrong guy. How do you feel about the officiating? I mean, I got to agree here with some of the Montreal players. It's been kind of shady.
This is playoffs, man. The officiating, it's so weird how some games start out, and then within 10 or 15 minutes, you're looking to your friend or someone beside you, or texting someone online and saying, okay, I guess this is one of those games where they're just going to let them play. Some games, it's not like that. That's what the inconsistency part about it is. Sometimes the first 5-10 minutes, there's a penalty called, and then they'll try to even it out with the other team. You got a power play for each team every period or something. They're trying to keep wraps on the rough stuff after the whistle. But then other times, it's like the refs are being told by Gary Bettman and company, just listen, let them play. Who knows what's going on behind closed doors with how the officiating and reffing is going in the playoffs, because I get it. It's really fucking hard to be a referee in Stanley Cup playoffs and, mind you, the finals, just because one wrong call and you got people basically giving you death threats and telling you that you're an asshole and screw you and I hate your family and whatever. And you don't want to be the reason that a team loses a game in officiating. That's why sometimes it's better to let things go. But here's the thing. If you're a referee, this is my opinion. If you're a referee and you're going to let the game go and let in a sense, let the boys play, let the boys be boys and let them play, you got to stick to that the whole way through the game. Obviously, you can't let shit get out of hand where, Gallagher's getting pile drived and he's bleeding everything. You can't really let it get to that extent. You got to make a call there. But as far as some of the slashing, face washes, tackling after whistles, stuff like that. As long as it's not too vicious and someone really goes down, then I have no problem with them not calling it. But that's all I'm saying. If you are going to call that stuff and you're going to start off quickly and early in the game, then you got to stick with that whole officiating throughout the whole game, or else that's when it looks really unbalanced and not fair. So, hey, man, Russ have a tough job, Arch. They have a really tough job. It's Stanley Cup playoffs. Man, there's going to be hits. There's going to be a lot of chirping. There's going to be a lot of shit happening during on the ice during Stanley Cup playoffs that doesn't happen in the regular season. And you just have to know that the aggression's there, that people are going to be more aggressive. People are going to finish every check. People are going to give you a little whack to let you know that they're there. Things like that. And you kind of just got to be judgmental. And that's where the inconsistency comes from. Mm-hmm. Man, the NHL is one of those sports where it's very different from regular season to playoff hockey. Different in the sense where you're going to call a lot of that shit during the regular season, but then let it go in playoffs. So I guess there's a lot of safety and health and, things that come along the lines of that, where it's like, okay, we got to look after our players too. We can't just have guys running wild, slashing guys and punching someone in the face after a whistle. But that's still kind of how hockey is being played this playoffs. I mean, I've been kind of surprised about how crazy it's been. How it's like most of the teams are a little bit angry and ready to scrum and scuff up a guy and get in there and take a hit and whatever, chirp. So I think it's interesting for the entertainment aspect of it all. It's fucking awesome, but inconsistencies are always going to happen during Stanley Cup playoffs, man. And you just hope that it has a balance of, if you're going to make the calls, start off by making the calls and stick to that game plan. If you're going to let the guys play, let the fucking guys play and then see where it goes, right? I don't know. What about you, Arch? What do you think?
Yeah, you're definitely right. They got to set the pace early. If you're going to set the sort of precedent that, you're going to call everything, that first mishap, the first play, you got to call it and let the teams both know, listen, we're not taking shit tonight.
Yeah.
But you can't let the game spin out of control really quick, especially in what most would think might potentially be a 7-game series, 2 games in, and already things are kind of getting out of hand. You mentioned stats before, and I was looking at the comparisons between the two teams. So you look at leaders versus leaders between Tampa Bay and Montreal. So from a goal scoring perspective, you got Braden Point with 14 goals for Tampa Bay. Braden Point is like playoff performer. Like, that guy is unbelievable. If you have him in a hockey pool, definitely the best player you could have taken. Nick Suzuki leads Montreal with 6. That's the comparable. Not the greatest. Points, Kucherov, 30 points in the playoffs right now compared to Toffoli's 14. Big difference. Average ice time, you got Victor Hedman leading for Tampa with about 24 and a half minutes. Shea Weber for Montreal, 25 and a half minutes. No surprise there. And your goaltenders on paper look pretty even. You got Vasilevsky with 14 wins and Carey Price with 12. Now, the 2 extra Vasilevsky has are against Montreal so far. The difference between these 2 goaltenders, though, right now is Vasilevsky's only allowed 2 goals in 2 games, whereas Carey Price has allowed 8. Now, you can't blame Price on all 8 goals. What do you think this is doing to him, though, from compared to the other teams he's played, where he's, a couple shutouts here and there, playing a lot stronger, letting in 1-2 goals, and now 8 goals against in 2 games? You got to start to wonder, have they figured out Carey Price, or is Montreal's defense kind of leaving him out to dry? What's happening there? Or is Tampa Bay, again, are they that good of a team?
I don't need to take too long to express what I think here, but I just think exactly what you just said, dude. I think Tampa Bay is just too fucking good of a team, man. They are too good. They're young still. They're fast. They hit. They're tough. They're big. They got arguably best goaltending in the world right now. And, a lot of people are still mentioning this in comments. They are like 18 or 20 million over the cap. They're playing with like $100 million, whereas everyone else is playing with 82 or 81 or whatever it is. But come on, man. Tampa has been so good. They've been the number one team in the league for 3 years now, 3 years. And they're finding ways to bring in guys in and out of the lineup if they can't sign them. And they just find a way to pick up that other guy. But their core group is still there. They're still young. And they're still impressing everybody game in, game out. And I don't know. Carey Price, like I said, one of the greatest goalies in our generation for sure. A lot of people are saying Vasilevsky is the best goalie right now. And Carey Price, it's been a great story. I don't think it's so much that Tampa Bay's figured out Carey Price or Carey Price is not playing the same kind of Carey Price hockey he's been playing, because you're facing a totally different animal in Tampa Bay, man. Tampa Bay is a fucking juggernaut. They're hardcore. They do everything right. They got a good coach in Cooper. They got a good guys upstairs that have made this team and built this team. They were destined for this, and we seen it 5 years ago. We were like, damn, they are building towards something great, and we are witnessing it now. It's right in the present. Man, I don't want to take anything away from Montreal for what they've done. Like I said, it's been a great story. Carey Price, what the hell? This guy was concussed, played for Laval 2 games prior to facing the Maple Leafs, and then just stood on his bloody head, and he's been playing well all playoff long. Still, even against Tampa Bay, he's played pretty well, but it is Tampa Bay. And I think Tampa Bay's just, they're destined to win another Stanley Cup. I think they're just on a mission, and it's felt like that. And you're really starting to notice it now that these guys are on a mission, and they play every shift like it's their last. They finish every period like it's their last. And that's winner's mentality. They have championship blood in them, and it's still fucking flowing. It's still flowing. They are the reigning Stanley Cup champions. That's it.
Yeah, and I think you hit it right on the head when you said they play every period if it was their last. I mean, they play the whistle. They keep playing. They play hard. They're getting hits from all around. The team is just such a physical presence, no matter what line, no matter what player's on the ice. Couple things to note before puck drop. Alex Killorn is out of the lineup for Tampa Bay tonight, and Montreal, I don't know if this is a boost or not, but they welcome their coach Ducharme back behind the bench after he was ruled out for COVID protocol and missed about 14 days or whatever it was. So he's back behind the bench. Not sure how much of a difference it'll make to the team, or whether I'm sure what's his name there? Their GM is wearing his red.
Bergevin?
Yeah, I'm sure Bergevin's got the red suit on in hopes that it'll continue to bring him luck. Because like I said, I think Montreal's going to need anything they can get their hands on with trying to get this win tonight, because you go down 3-0, you're definitely done. No way is Montreal winning 4 straight against Tampa.
No.
2-0 is bad enough. So if they don't win this game tonight, they're in big trouble. And I mean, if I'm Tampa Bay, I might even gamble and let them win one of the next 2 just because I want to win it at home.
And if I thought about that too, Arch.
Yeah, man. Like if that's the case, especially if Tampa wins tonight and goes up 3-0, give Montreal the 3-1, whatever. Come back home, take it 4-1. I feel like it's something every team would want to do, is win at home in front of their fans. You don't want to win it in Montreal in front of 3,500 Montreal fans with 25,000 crazy people outside that are probably going to burn down the city when it's all over.
Yeah, you're totally right, buddy. Get the yachts ready in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, so I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens, but I honestly think Montreal at this point has to treat tonight and every game moving forward as a game 7 in their heads, so that it's like, gotta win it. There's no way. You can't lose anymore, because Tampa's just gonna throw it in full throttle, and it's good night. See you later.
Absolutely, buddy.
So we'll step away from the games right now. Last week we discussed a little bit, a couple weeks ago actually, we discussed the NHL awards and who we thought would win what award and whatnot. So a couple nights ago they had the virtual awards ceremony which wrapped things up. So now outside of the Stanley Cup, we have pretty much everything chosen. With the awards here, let me just pull those up. Okay, so in no particular order, we'll go through the awards and then, quick little conversation. I mean, we already kind of gave our input on who we thought would win and what's a surprise and whatnot. So we'll start off with the Calder for Rookie of the Year. And Kaprizov, of course, ended up winning this one here. No surprise. I mean, he was up against was a goalie and Carolina's goalie, and I don't remember if you remember who the other guy was.
Yeah, he was up against Robertson's brother there.
Yes, in Dallas.
Yeah.
So Kaprizov ended up winning this one, and I mean, to no surprise, a lot of the NHL players, anybody you ask really, pretty much had him as winning it. He was huge for Minnesota this year, and I can foresee this kid being something really big, especially for a team like Minnesota that hasn't really had anything big come out of there. It's a big thing for them to have somebody win the Rookie of the Year, let alone be noticed around the NHL. So good on him for winning this one. Anything you wanted to add to it?
Yeah, just Kaprizov, you heard his name from the start of the year. He was a human highlight reel. He was all over my Instagram pages about what this kid does and how he practices and how he's swift with his hands and everything. The one thing that I know people have talked about and have been a little bit judgmental on about Kaprizov is I think he is like 23 or 24 or something along the lines of that. Like he's played overseas for 4 or 5 years. So he's, you know what I mean? It's not like he's an 18 or 19-year-old kid that came in and dominated the league as a rookie. He's kind of played. He's a young adult, and that's the only kind of adversity about this kind of Calder Cup thing. And they're thinking like, how do we fix this in the future? Do we just say, okay, you have to be under 20 in order to win a Calder or whatever? But as it states, your first NHL season is your rookie season, so that's how it goes. And he had I'm not taking anything away from Kaprizov. I think he had a great year, and he's one of the reasons that Minnesota did do so well and made the playoffs. So good on him. Good for him. We're going to be hearing his name for a long time.
Absolutely. And that's a good point that you mentioned there about him being 24 and not, coming in as a 17, 18-year-old rookie technically.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is something that you would think they'd look into, because you're right. He was rookie in the NHL, but he played for CSK Moscow in Russia. So, I mean, it's like their elite team and their elite league. So it does change things a bit. He's NHL rookie, but he's not a pro hockey rookie. So maybe they need to look into, I think, like you said, maybe putting an age to it.
Yeah.
And it has to be like, a drafted rookie or something like that.
That's what you know what, Archie? I think that would be the best thing, or at least under 20,
Yeah.
Even if you played a professional season overseas, I think that like under 20, you're still like a little snot-nosed kid. You know what I mean? You're just you're barely a man yet. You're just like a big teenager still at that age. So, like you said, that's the rules of the NHL and the way that it is still. So what are you going to do? Congratulations to Kaprizov.
All right. And then moving along, we've got the Hart Memorial. No surprise here. As much as us Toronto faithful would have loved to see Austin Matthews announced as the winner, up against Austin Matthews and Nathan MacKinnon. This award went to the MVP of the season, voted on by the Professional Hockey Writers Association, and McDavid, hands down, the winner here. And it was pretty nice to see that he was able to have this award given to him and announced by his teammate Leon Draisaitl. Not much more to say here. What do you think about it?
Dude, I don't really have anything to say. It's Connor McJesus. He had an unbelievable year. 56 games, 104 points or 6 points or whatever the frig it was. Unbelievable what he did. And he's definitely the best player in the NHL. So what are you going to do? It's hard to argue that. Like you said, would have loved to see Austin Matthews do it too, or get this reward. But it is Connor McDavid, and Connor McDavid's in his prime, and Connor McDavid is doing Connor McDavid things, whereas no one else can kind of, add up to what he does on the ice, game in, game out. So congrats to him. I still think he has a few more to win. So
Absolutely. Moving along to the Jack Adams Award, which is awarded to essentially the coach of the year. Rod Brind'Amour, Carolina, beats out Joel Quenneville and Dean Evason for this one here. I gotta say, in watching some of the highlights and some of the clips of Rod Brind'Amour kind of behind the scenes with the team, I always liked him as a hockey player, a grinder, played on Philly, strong, hard-nosed kind of player. And it kind of surprised me only because of the class he was up against. But then again, you don't look at, not just what he did with the team, but as a culture, what he created in Carolina. I feel like Rod Brind'Amour definitely deserves the win here. And I believe Evason is the coach of the Minnesota Wild. So that's who he was up against. And where's Quenneville right now?
Quenneville's in Florida, Panthers.
In Florida. So Florida, I thought he would have been, if anything, he would have been the winner over Brind'Amour. But Brind'Amour winning, no surprise to me, and I think he definitely deserves it.
Yeah, there's not much that I can really say about it. I think Rod Brind'Amour was fun to watch back in the day. Even I remember him. But hey, man, what Carolina is, and they're a team that it's tough to go into their building any game. And they do have a pretty crazy hockey culture in the last few years. I mean, they have the crazy hurricane celebration or whatever the hell they call it. But they've, every player in that dressing room plays hard and they play to win. And that's a winner's mentality. They've been up there in the Stanley Cup playoffs the last 2 or 3 years, and they've been a significant team for that amount of time, which I just stated, like 2 or 3 years. They've just been really good. And they're just a team that plays you hard in, game out. And there's no give up to them. And they got a good young core there with Svechnikov and Aho and Teravainen and stuff like that. But their defense is really good. They have that cool goalie duo with Reimer, it's Reimer and Mrazek, I think. But very cool. Good for Carolina. Good for Rod Brind'Amour. And yeah, congratulations to him, man.
The Storm Surge. That's right. I forgot about that. That was another
Storm Surge. Yeah.
Big thing they started up there. Moving on more to a management phase here. Jim Gregory Award for the GM of the year. Lou Lamoriello was up against Montreal's Marc Bergevin and Florida's Bill Zito. And this one here, I can see why Lou was chosen, especially with his exit from Toronto and how that came to be and what he ended up doing with the Islanders that people kind of counted out. He's put together a hell of a team there in New York. Marc Bergevin might have been the only contest here that people would argue, why did he not win? And the simple reason here is that, again, when it comes down to it, I mean, you and I both agreed that we disagree with the majority of the people saying, it's the North Division was easy. They only played Canadian teams, this and that.
Yeah.
So we never got to see this final team that Bergevin built play against a full NHL, like playing East and West and your respective divisions. Yeah. So I think this is what counted against him, whereas Lou Lamoriello was a slow build and not as slow as most teams would build up. So I feel like this is why Lou wins it here. So, I feel like hands down, definitely the right guy won this one.
Yeah. It's Lou Lamoriello. He's been around the NHL for, I don't know, is this guy ready to retire yet, Arch? He's like got at least 30 years in his belt in the NHL. I mean, he was in the 90s with the New Jersey Devils and Martin Brodeur back in the day, but hey, he deserves it. What New York Islanders have done in the island is unbelievable. They have a good team that plays fucking hard. They have 4 lines that run at you. And their guys up front, I mean, they play every shift like it's their last shift as well. Man, I really like Barzal. I like Josh Bailey. I like guys like that. And then just to bring over, some guys that you're pretty familiar with in Sajak and Palmieri, just to give them a little bit more leadership and know that these guys will, go to the front of the net and play to the death of them to try to win a Stanley Cup. I like the moves he made. And your comment on Marc Bergevin, hey, man, this is a regular season award. And Montreal Canadiens are lucky they even made it to the Stanley Cup Finals. And it's pretty crazy what they've done. And being in the underdogs, they're in the Stanley Cup Finals. But throughout the regular season, the Islanders were one of the best teams in the NHL, next to your Bruins and your Tampa Bay Lightning and in company. But yeah, good on Lou, man. Lou's I don't know how old this guy is, but holy crap, man. Lou fucking Lamoriello, good for him. Still winning NHL awards, and he's a hell of a GM. It kind of makes you wonder, Arch. We had him. He was building our team, what our team would look like if Lou was still there, and what kind of deals would have got done, because he left before we had to sign Marner, Nylander, and Matthews and Tavares. So who knows what kind of holdouts? Who knows who could have been traded? The Toronto Maple Leafs could have been a totally different looking team right now, man. And I mean, this guy just took his team. They were one game away from going to the Stanley Cup final. So that being said, good on him. I think he deserves this award.
Yeah, and you're right, because at 78 years old and never having played in the NHL as a player himself, spent the majority of his career with the New Jersey Devils and won Stanley Cup. You know what I mean? Like he had 3 Stanley Cups with the Devils, and unfortunately none with the Leafs. But I mean, it kind of stung with me when he was let go by Toronto or not renewed, because I feel like he wasn't quite done yet with Toronto.
No.
And then whatever the case may be, the reasoning behind the decision was made. There he goes, and off to the island he goes and makes some moves and makes things happen. So good on him. And you're right, I completely forgot about that. It is based on the regular season, and if you look at Montreal during the regular season, wasn't much.
They were like 500.
Yeah. So yeah, the right guy definitely won this one here.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next one is the King Clancy, which goes to the player that best exemplifies leadership qualities on and off the ice. We had Curtis Gabriel, PK Subban, and Pekka Rinne in this category. All 3 fine people with distinct causes that they were supporting. And Pekka Rinne ends up coming away with this one here. He supported the NHL's Hockey Fights Cancer initiative, which is huge in the league. Every single team participates in it. And he's raised over $3 million since 2012, 2013, along with his former teammate Shea Weber. So he picks this one up here. And in addition to him winning the award, also gets $25,000 donated towards the foundation of his choosing, with PK Subban and Curtis Gabriel getting each $5,000 each for their contributions as well.
Yeah, there's not much more to say about Pekka Rinne. He's a wily veteran. Still loves the game of hockey. I think that Predators try to get him in net as much as they can. I know that his job's kind of been taken over a little bit, but he's an older guy. He's a leader. He's been around a long time. He was once, I'm pretty sure he was a Vezina trophy winner at one point in his career. He's a hell of a guy. I don't know too much about his character. I mean, he's pretty far away from Leafs fans, but I know that I've never heard anything bad about Pekka Rinne, and I know that he was a leader for the Predators organization for all his years there. I'm pretty sure he's never played for another team either. He got drafted there, and I think he's stuck there his whole career. And I'm pretty sure his plan is to retire from there. But good on him. Good for Pekka Rinne. And it's nice to see some relevance and significance still by him in the league, and for a really good cause as well.
Absolutely. And yeah, you were right. He won the Vezina back in 2018 and was also a finalist in 2011, 2012, and 2015. So, I mean, definitely not your, just another goalie kind of player. And funny enough, I'm looking at some of the awards he got. He was voted for goal of the year in 2020. So he also scored a goal last season. I completely forgot about that.
Nice.
So he wins this one here, takes this one home. And moving on to the next one, the Lady Byng. The Lady Byng was one that I thought somebody else was going to win this one, in all honesty, but I guess they based it on one thing. So this was Jared Spurgeon was up against Jacob Slavin and Austin Matthews. This is for the player who best combined sportsmanship, gentlemanly conduct, and ability as a player. Slavin ended up winning this, and he led the Hurricanes in ice time and was assessed only 1 minor penalty in 52 games, while typically playing against opponents' top lines in throughout the season. And I guess that's what they based it on, the fact that he was able to compose himself and keep himself level-headed and disciplined and only take one penalty. And if I'm not mistaken, they said it was a delay of game penalty. So it wasn't even like a roughing call. So this is why he got it. I honestly thought Austin Matthews had a chance here because of his play and his determination and being able to not necessarily take retaliation penalties, but draw a lot. But I guess with him having, I think he had five minor penalties or something like that. And I guess, I mean, versus the one for a defenseman, you know what I mean? So it ended up working out in his favor. What do you think about this one here?
I'll quickly touch on it. An NHL defenseman that faces the top players on other teams night in, night out, that gets one fucking penalty in the whole in the whole year, in the whole season, and the only penalty it is a 2-minute delay of game penalty. You got to have some kind of composure, buddy. That's an unbelievable stat. Like, I remember we were talking about this because he was the runner up there last week, and we didn't know who was going to win the award, and it's just kind of like more so settled into me about that statistic right there. That's truly amazing to be in the NHL amongst crazy guys. And you know how defensemen were brought up basically throughout the NHL's existence. You got to be a tough, hard-nosed guy, cross-check guys in front of the net, fight, and take penalties. Like, defensemen are usually the guys with the most penalty minutes on the team, maybe with the exception of the last like 15, 20 years in the NHL. But I mean, it's crazy. Like, the game's changing. Like, just a thing like this just really makes you realize how much the game is changing in itself. A defenseman that takes one penalty that's insane. Like, wow. Congratulations to Jacob Slavin. It didn't really sink in until until he had the award won, and you just said it right there. But that's very impressive, man. Like, come on.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so I mean, he wins it there just with that fact, and that statistic alone is a pretty big deal for him doing that. So well deserved. Then moving on, we got the Masterton, which goes to the player who best exemplifies the qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication. And in this case, it was Matt Dumba, Patrick Marleau, and Oscar Lindblom. And Lindblom ended up winning this one here. No surprise here, especially after what he went through last season as a player and within his personal life, and the comeback that he made was a pretty big deal. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, incredible story. You know, life can be short, man, and things can happen so quickly, man. It's unpredictable. And to get that, and then, you know, work your best, go through chemo during the regular season, and, you know, and fight cancer, and come back, and all you want to do is play hockey and be with your teammates. He was in the building all the time. He was in the dressing room. He wasn't letting something horrible get the best of him. He kept a positive attitude the whole time. And I remember hearing him in interviews and everything, and he was calm and cool, like, just so fucking humble. And what an incredible story. He's back in the NHL. He's ready to go. And I could see exactly why he won the award. So good on him.
Absolutely. And nothing more to add there. Definitely deserving of it. Moving along to the Mark Messier NHL Leadership Award. So this is one that I didn't really know much about because it wasn't part of the full slate of awards that we spoke about previously.
Okay.
But when I looked into it, this award is presented to the player who exemplifies great leadership qualities to his team on and off the ice during the regular season, and who plays a leading role in his community towards growing the game of hockey. Trophy's been around since 2006, 2007. Now, I'm not sure who he was up against or if he was even up against anybody, but Patrice Bergeron went on to win this one this year. And just to give an idea of other people who've won it in the past, last year, Mark Giordano, Wayne Simmons won it the year before. Derek Englund won it when he was in Vegas the year before that. Nick Foligno. So I don't know that this is one that goes against anybody. I think it's just you vote for one guy. And oddly enough, I didn't know this. Matt Sundin won this award in 2007 and 8, which was the second year of its existence.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Cool award. I like it. Patrice Bergeron. I know that. Hey man, Boston got rid of Chara and slapped the C right on him right away. Obviously, he's deserving of it. He's a leader. He's been around the game for a long time. I've loved watching Patrice Bergeron in a friggin' in a Canada jersey playing for the Worlds and playing for the Olympics. He's just he's one of the better 200-foot players in the NHL, and he's been consistent for his whole career, really. So that's good. He's got some leadership qualities and stuff outside of the rink too, in the community, and getting people involved in hockey and exposing what hockey is and what hockey means. And good for him, man. I've never had a problem. He's one Bruin. I hate the Bruins. I fucking don't like them. He's one Bruin that, okay, Patrice Bergeron does piss me off a little bit because he's so good, but I mean, you have to give credit where credit's due. He's one of the best and the greatest at what he does, and that's scoring goals and shutting down the opposition's best line. So, and then obviously he's just like a face-off magician as well. But good for him. Good for Patrice Bergeron. And man, this guy's trophy shelf must be stacking up, because I'm pretty sure every single year this guy's winning like one of the awards. So he's got to have a good trophy room.
Absolutely. And yeah, you're right. I mean, I hate the Bruins too, but he's probably one of the only players on that team that I would take hands down any given day to play for my team if I had that option. So yeah, with regards to the trophy shelf, definitely expanding it. He's got like 4 Selke awards just alone. So I mean, he's definitely building up that trophy room. Good on him for winning this one. Definitely well deserved. Next up, the Norris. So this one created a little bit of a stir. The Norris goes to top defenseman throughout the league, and Adam Fox won it up against Victor Hedman from Tampa and Cale Makar in Colorado. I had a feeling Fox would win this based on I think it was just one thing that really stood out to me, is that as a first-time finalist, he finished the season with 47 points, 1 point behind the leader, which was shockingly Tyson Barrie this season.
Yeah.
And he also had 23 power play points, which was second to Hedman, and 102 block shots. And he also had 38 takeaways, which was third in the NHL. So a lot of people had Hedman winning it hands down, or if anything, Makar. And we said it when we spoke about it last. Adam Fox, to put up these numbers on the shitty New York Rangers team that he was on, that alone, you cannot argue deserves the win. I mean, I'm sure you'll agree. Like, you can't take this from him. He played on a really crappy Rangers team.
Say no more, Archie. You hit the nail right on the head with that one, buddy. I don't even have anything to add. I totally agree with everything you just said, man. The guy played on the New York Rangers, which was a really inconsistent, kind of shady kind of team. A lot of ups and downs in the season. And then you look at the opponents that were up for the award too, in Victor Hedman and Cale Makar, and they're playing with the likes of Stamkos, Kucherovs, and Braden Points and Killorns, and then you got McKinnon and Rantanen and Landeskog and Kadri for Cale Makar. And then Adam Fox, you got Panarin, who was off for some bullshit with Russia and Vladimir Putin or some shit for most of the season, and the inconsistencies of the kid there, the rookie, and the Calder. What was his name again? Jesus. See, we should know more about it. I should never forget his name, but because he had such a bad rookie season. Hey, Archie, remember we were talking about him?
Who's that?
The friggin' rookie that played for the Canadian kid, man, that we thought was going to be great, and he just had a stinker of a year on the New York Rangers.
Oh, Alexis Lafreniere.
Lafreniere, right? So that being said, you had a guy that had really high hopes. You had Panarin, who was their best goal scorer, and a goalie situation. I mean, Lundqvist for the first time wasn't in net for them for like at least half of the season. And Adam Fox did this, and what the hell, man? This guy came out of nowhere, but I heard his name right from the beginning of the year, and I had him on my fantasy hockey team, and I saw the points he was getting, and I was like, damn, all right, let's go. So in total agreement with what you just said, man. You played on a shittier team, whereas the other two candidates have an explosive offense and point gathering system. And Adam Fox deserves to win this one in my books.
Yes, sir. So he takes that one home. And then moving on to a little bit of a newer award. Again, not one that I know much about. The Willie O'Ree Community Hero Award. It's presented by the NHL and Mass Mutual, and it is given to a person who is recognized as an individual who, like Willie O'Ree, has worked to make a positive impact on his or her community, culture, and society through the sport of hockey. So this one here, I believe you got to get nominated by someone in the community, or you've got to get a number of votes or whatnot. So Kevin Hodgson won this one. And just a quick background on him. It says here he never really signed up for any of this. 15 years ago, he was the executive director of Heroes, which empowers at-risk youth, and its offshoot organization Superheroes, which provides boys and girls living with physical and cognitive challenges an inclusive and safe hockey environment. He didn't know much about the program, but decided to run it and go ahead with it. A friend heard that Heroes was coming to Calgary, where he lives, offered his name as a volunteer, and just like that, it became his life. And on the night they awarded this, he became the fourth recipient of this award presented by the NHL and Mass Mutual. And it basically honors, for anybody who doesn't know, Willie O'Ree, who was the first Black player to play in the NHL in 1958, I believe, or early 60s. And he went on to play, I think it was about 20 years in the NHL, and served as an ambassador to the community, and was finally inducted into the Hall of Fame a couple years ago. So Kevin Hodgson wins this one, and what that does is it gives him $25,000 towards running his program. And the other two people that were runners-up were Renee Hess and Howard Smith, who each received $5,000 for their community involvement. Not sure what you might have to add to this. But yeah, basically a community unrelated to the game on the ice itself as we watch.
Nice. That's awesome. I don't really know the guy, but from what you just explained in that story, that's, I mean, hell, props to him. Pretty cool. He took over something he didn't know much about, and obviously became a staple in what he did in the community. And good on him, and you need more people like that in the world for sure. And he himself is the hero. You know what I mean? So good for him.
Absolutely. And moving forward, next we have the Selke. So the Selke is awarded to the player who best excels in the defensive aspect of the game. And it was Barkov, Bergeron, and Mark Stone. And I'm pretty sure last week or a couple weeks ago, you said Barkov would win this one. And he did in fact win this one. He was first among Panthers forwards in takeaways, while averaging just under 21 minutes of ice time, second in block shots, and had a pretty awesome face-off percentage of 54.9, and beat out Bergeron and Mark Stone. And I know you really liked Barkov when we were talking about this, and you had him as the winner.
Yeah,
so you were right, 100% on that one.
There's not much more you can say about Barkov, and I say that kind of, I'm laughing a little bit because not a lot of people talk about Barkov, and there's never much to say about this guy, so it's kind of cliche. But hey, man, he is known in the NHL in the last 5 years as the most underrated centerman in the NHL. So this guy puts up big points every year, plays the game the right way. Like you said, you win the Selke Award because you're Patrice Bergeron-esque. You're a 200-foot hockey player that shuts down the top lines, but still puts up big points. You're a leader on and off the ice, dude. He has all the weapons in his artillery, and he's one hell of a hockey player. And he's still young, and he's still, I mean, I don't know how old he is, but he's definitely I think probably like 29 or 30, maybe. But he's been fun to watch for a long time, and I think he's finally starting to get noticed just because Florida's actually had a great great first round playoffs against the Tampa Bay Lightning. I'm pretty sure that was the hardest test that Tampa Bay's actually had so far, was that series. And I think it was probably the best series to watch during the Stanley Cup playoffs, because it was phenomenal. It was hard. It was fast hitting, and it was entertaining. And these were two teams that really wanted to win. I've always liked Barkov, man. Like I said, I like the underrated role that he plays, because his name gets brought up here and there, like underneath the table once in a while. And you're like, oh yeah, no, he's really good. He's one of the better centermen in the league, but he never gets that, like, he never gets that credit. Like, no one will ever be like, oh yeah, Barkov's the best or he's the sickest. But he is. He's like showing it every year. He's one of the better centermen in the league. And I think that with the run that the Panthers made this year, and trust me, they've been knocking on the door in the East for the last 3 or 4 years. They've just had a little bit of ups and downs with goalie situations and coaching, but now with Quenneville there and the bounce back with Bobrovsky and Huberdeau playing well and Barkov, like, these guys are good. So good on Barkov. I like to see him win an award. He's a pretty quiet, tame kind of guy. He's pretty humble. You never hear him getting into shit around the league or chirping other guys too much. I think he just goes out, plays the game of hockey, and that's what players are starting to notice. And now the world of hockey inside the NHL, like us fans, are starting to realize, oh shit, Alexander Barkov's fucking awesome. So I like it.
Yes, sir. And a couple more to go here. We got the Ted Lindsay given to the player who is rated as the most outstanding player in the NHL as voted by members of the Players Association. And this was one hell of a category, with Sidney Crosby, Austin Matthews, and Connor McDavid all being nominated as the top three. And once again, another award that was handed over by fellow Oiler Leon Draisaitl, who was the winner last year, handing it out to, once again, Connor McDavid. Again, not much to say here. It's Connor McDavid, right?
Yeah, let's move along. We pump up this guy's tires almost every show. We have to talk about a highlight that he's done or something amazing. And I'm done pumping up the tires for this year. They got outed in the playoffs about a month ago. It's crazy to think that Draisaitl won the same two awards last year, and then McDavid, and they were fucking shut out 4-0 by Winnipeg, who then got shut out by Montreal. Like, what up? Oh, man, bringing back pretty recent memories that I don't want to think about. But hey, man, it is Connor McDavid. He's the best in the world. He's going to win many more awards. He's still fucking young. And yeah, you know what? I'll love to watch Connor McDavid in a Canadian jersey, in a Canada jersey, not a Canadiens jersey. Let me just specify that. But yeah, I like to see him wear the red and white for sure. And I hopefully Olympics hockey starts. I think that we're supposed to be in NHL players are allowed to go to Olympics for the next Olympics or whatever. So that'll be good, or world classic tournament. I don't know, but yeah, good on fucking Connor McDavid once again here. Over 100 points in a regular season in 56 games is just incredible. So good on him.
Yes, sir. And then the final award, the coveted Vezina Trophy. This was between Marc-Andre Fleury, Philip Grubauer, and Andrei Vasilevsky. I've got to say, I was not expecting Fleury to win this one, but someone did mention it. I believe it was Bieksa the other night said the guy's been in the NHL 17 years, I believe, and this is the first time he's been nominated. So yeah, looking at his numbers and what he did, and him and Leonard both combined for an NHL award this year, which was, I think, a first ever as well. So I can understand why he won this, had a hell of a season. Unfortunately, that it didn't go through to the playoffs, but he is the winner of this year's Vezina Trophy. What do you think about this one?
You just said it, Archie. The guy's been around. He's won 3. I think he's been around for 3 Stanley Cups? Yes, with the Pittsburgh Penguins. He was glue that held that team together with the core of Malkin and Crosby and Letang. He was there from the beginning, got drafted, won Stanley Cups for that organization, played his heart out. He's a good Canadian boy. He's from Quebec. And I think what you just said there. It's 17 years in the league and he never won a Vezina. So I think that comes into play just a little bit of that, of why they made that decision. It's like, hey, he might not get there again. He's getting older. So let's give it to him this year, which is good. I don't mind that at all. Yeah, good for Marc-Andre Fleury, but the fucking flower power.
Yeah, and surprisingly, again, first time ever nominated in his entire career. And yet, you were right, 3 Stanley Cups with Pittsburgh. And it was the William M. Jennings trophy that he got together with Robin Lehner as the goaltending duo for the first time. Which is the award given to goaltender or goaltenders having played a minimum of 25 games for their teams with the fewest goals scored against. Which is
a pretty awesome cool award too.
Yeah, pretty awesome award to split between 2 players. So that wraps things up for the awards. And we are back on screen here. And just a quick recap, the Montreal Canadiens are already down 2-0. And that happened in less than 2 minutes apart. And pretty quick. A minute 50 in, Tampa Bay took a 1-0 lead. And then on the power play, Victor Hedman, 3 minutes, 20 seconds, makes it 2-0. It is already looking quite bad for Montreal tonight. And several people are pointing out it looks like there's a few more than 3,500 people in there tonight. I'll tell you that.
That's hilarious. Squeeze them in.
Cool there.
Yeah. Well, man, do we need to say more? If Montreal goes down this game, Carey Price lets in another 4 or 5 goals or whatever, I just can't see them coming back and beating Tampa Bay in 4. I think it is over if Tampa Bay wins this game. Don't get me wrong. I think Montreal is going to fucking play their hearts out this game because they know it's kind of their last game to make a statement and a stand for the team, for the organization, for the city. Because if they don't win tonight, it's over, man. It is over. They are being slowly put to sleep. And I don't know. Need we say more, guys? Tampa Bay is just on another level. They are the best team in the NHL in the last few years, and they're still the best team in the NHL right now. So they're showing that. We're witnessing it. Good for them. At least there's a lot of Canadian guys on Tampa Bay too. So at least as Canadian fans, we can cheer for that. And then as you American fans, it is Tampa Bay. It is an American city. And hey, Torontonians, Montreal people from all over Canada do love going to Florida. Just saying, we have the saying for a lot of people are snowbirds, right? That's what you call a Canadian that goes and basically lives in Florida, the snowbird. But yeah. Well, not much more to say, man. I don't know. Fucking Tampa Bay is just a unbelievable team, man, and they're going to be hard to stop. We knew them coming into playoffs. They were going to be the team to beat to get to the Stanley Cup final. They made the Stanley Cup final and against a team like Montreal. Man, Montreal's been doing really well. But I mean, what happens here if Montreal gets swept by Tampa Bay? What does that look like for everyone else? The only exception would be Vegas was not in the Canadian division, and Vegas was a really good team in their division and obviously moved on through some tough opponents, especially Colorado, and then Montreal beat them in 6. But if somehow Montreal didn't go through Vegas, then everyone would be still looking at that North Division and saying, what the hell? Getting swept. These teams are sweeping each other. Like, how bad were the Leafs? How bad really was Edmonton and Winnipeg and Calgary and Sens? Know what I mean? So anyways, hey, I've said this, Archie. We've said it before. At the end of the day, we don't want the fucking Canadiens to win a Stanley Cup before our beloved Toronto Maple Leafs. I know it's a Canadian team. I was just about to say Canada's team and punch myself in the face, but I stopped myself and said it is a Canadian team, and there are people that have jumped on the bandwagon that want to see Montreal win a Stanley Cup and bring it back to Canadian soil. But I am totally, totally against that. I really don't want that to happen. I like the story so far. Really cool. I like a good underdog story. They've been playing well. but it's starting to get a little too close for comfort when they beat out Vegas and went to the Stanley Cup final. I'm ready for the chokehold to come in and for that organization to just take it easy a little bit and step back and retool the team for next year. And let's go Tampa Bay.
Yeah, for real. So normally we start off our segment with our beloved Maple Leafs, and this time we'll end it off with them. So we mentioned last week the re-signing of Jason Spezza once again to a 1-year deal, wanting to stay here and commit to Toronto. And surprising, Wayne Simmons has done the same thing for 2 years on a 2-year deal worth $1.8 million, counting at $900,000 against the cap. I like this. I like the signing. He's cheap. He comes back and he says he owes Toronto more. That hand injury never came back quite well after that injury. And I think he feels he's got more to bring to Toronto. He wants to be here. Obviously, being from here, he says he's got his family here, his kids. He wants to raise everybody here, and he's committed to Toronto. And it sounds like once his time in Toronto is done, he's probably done as well. So I know you're a big fan, Scarborough native Wayne Simmons. And I think we all got to see a fun side of him before he got hurt. And I feel like at the amount of money they're getting him for, I think it's a great deal for Toronto.
Couldn't agree more, Archie. I really like Wayne Simmons. Wasn't the same after the wrist injury. It was a bad break. Didn't come back. The feet wasn't there. His passing was like a second behind, a little bit delayed. Wasn't being put on the first or second lines anymore. Wasn't getting enough power play time like he was prior to getting the injury. And on top of that, the guy will fight for his team. We need a guy that's going to step up for other guys on the team and drop the gloves once in a while. A guy that's going to go hard to the net and screen a goalie with his 6'6" figure. He's an all-around really good hockey player. Unfortunately, what happened to him last year, he kind of just started to, I'm trying to find the right words, but he just started to kind of lean his way out of those top two lines, and then found himself like on the fourth line. But hey, man, what's going to be good about this too is what's going to happen next year. Hopefully, Jesus, fingers crossed. I'm really I'm hoping for this. I think it's going to happen because we're starting to get some shit under control here in Ontario. But when there is fans in the stands, and you have players excited to go to the ring, not just to play hockey, but in front of fans cheering your name, and a guy like Wayne Simmons erupts a crowd for sure with big hits, with fights, and I'm sure he'll feed off that energy, and that'll make him an even more confident, more momentum kind of player for the Toronto Maple Leafs next year. And I like it. $900,000 for 2 years. Come on. That's a beautiful thing. I love it. This guy, if he stays healthy, who knows? In an 82-game season, I'm telling you, he could score 20 goals for you and have about fucking 60 to 80 fucking penalty minutes. I like it.
All right. And so now that leaves a lot of people in Toronto wondering with what happens with Zach Hyman. So Hyman is coming off of a steal of a contract, $2.25 million. And he's had back-to-back career best seasons for himself. So it's going to be very difficult. That's the guy that everybody, including a lot of hockey analysts, seem to think is not going to be in Toronto because they think he'll get at least $5 million, if not more. However, that being said, I'm trying to remember who it was that recently got a contract, and it kind of makes Hyman worth less. I'm just trying to pull it up here. But essentially, there was another player, big name. I can't.
Another comparable Zach Hyman-esque player? No,
better than Zach Hyman player.
Oh.
Got that ballpark $5 million a year deal.
Taking a home discount, maybe.
Yeah, I'm just looking at. It was Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, 8 years at $41 million with Edmonton, which works out to about $5.125 million a year. I mean, yeah, it's a monster contract, 8 years. Hyman's not going to get an 8-year deal, but when you look at it, I feel like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is a little more worth more value when it comes to what he does for a team than Zach Hyman. Not to knock on Hyman, but this might help them with, maybe they could squeeze him in at a 4.5, maybe offer him a 3-year deal, max 5-year, somewhere around there where he's making about 4.5.
Okay.
I mean, other than that, I don't know how they're going to find a way to keep him. It's going to be hard, but there's been no conversation with regards to numbers, so nobody really knows what that conversation's even been like. Kerfoot might get picked up more than likely by Seattle, and he carries, I think, $3.5 million cap hit. So there might be some money freed up somehow. And then this week, I heard an interesting rumor that Freddie Anderson wants to stay in Toronto. And
really?
Yeah, and apparently they're talking about a potential 1-year deal where he kind of knows he's not the guy. But I feel like he's also looking at it as he had a horrible contract year. No one's going to give him the money he's wanting. So maybe he figures he stays in Toronto, shows that he still has it, gets that 1 year to kind of prove himself again in hopes that someone will take him. But I don't know that I want him here.
Maybe trying to feel like he can get his job back, and then when that contract ends, he can get paid, right?
Yeah, but that's the thing now. Would you do it at a I don't even know at what value you'd give him, but would you give Freddie a 1-year deal to serve as potentially a backup to Jack Campbell? Or, if Campbell goes down, to give him another shot at earning that top spot again? What do you do? It's a tough one.
That is a tough one. I really don't know. I mean, I look at it this way. Freddie Anderson's a starting goalie. He's been a starting goalie the majority of his whole career. So for him to, I mean, there's all this speculation. We're in Toronto, Archie. It could have been said by him. It could just be a rumor. Who knows what's going on? But if we're talking about it, then there's probably things that were said, and I don't know how much truth it is. But depending on the 1-year contract, hey man, if it's like under $5 million, if it's like, let's say it's a 1-year contract for like $3.5 million or $4 million. I don't know. I think I might be okay with that. But if this guy's looking for like a $5 or $6 million fucking 1-year deal, then I'd say, well, you can walk and go try to get signed from another team. I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's a weird one for sure, because Freddie Anderson's been a staple for the Toronto Maple Leafs goaltending for 5 years now. And he's done us pretty well. He's took us to playoffs every single year he's been here. He's been a good regular season goalie. That being said, regular season, he has had his blunders and his misplays in the playoffs, and Leaf fans are sick and tired of it. It's all the money. It's all about the money, Archie. It's a business. It's going to be how much money, if Freddie wants to stay, it's going to be if Dubas wants to pay him, what I just said, maybe a $3.5-4 million 1-year deal or something, just to have him there, and then he can try to go for a big contract next year. I don't know. Yeah. Do I want him back though, Arch? I wouldn't mind having him back, because then at least I know I have Campbell and Freddie Anderson. That's not a bad duo. So I don't know, but I want money left to potentially sign Zach Hyman and a couple other guys, or make a few adjustments. So if that's going to interfere with that process, then hell, we got to let him go, because I want fucking Zach Hyman back as a Maple Leaf for sure.
Absolutely. And here's the problem is that who do you get otherwise? Because Riddick's done. He's a UFA. And then with the Marlies, we've got Ian Scott, Eric Kallgren, who is a newly acquired free agent.
Yeah.
And
Joseph Wall.
And good old Joseph Wall he's pending something here, pending RFA status. It's a weird one. And then good old Michael Hutchinson still down there. So I'm not sure what they do here. I mean, they got Michael Hutchinson as an option for another year. We have one of our viewers here, Jim, JM Pepin. What's the other options to Freddie on the market without putting Jack as a backup? Exactly. We were just saying, what do you do? I mean, Hutchinson? I don't know. I feel like we've gambled enough on him, but if it comes down to if we can get that money put towards Hyman and just deal with Hutchinson right now and hope that Campbell stays healthy, put Hutchinson in games that you can, I guess, afford to gamble and see what happens, and then make a move closer to the deadline or wait it out. I'm not sure, but I think Freddie, I mean, if you sign Freddie, you've got Campbell making $1.65 million right now. So I mean, no matter what you do in net, you do have an option to pay your goalie a little more, but it all comes down to, once again, the Leafs have a projected 10.8 million in cap space, and there's still Foligno, Thornton, Nash, Galchenyuk, and Hyman that need to be re-signed or replaced, in which case it sounds like out of that group, Hyman's probably the only one they're going to really try to, kick the tires yet. And then you still got 3 defensemen you're out in with Ben Hutton, Zach Bogosian, and Travis Dermott being an RFA. So they still got to sign quite a few players here to make something work. And I'm not sure who's crunching the numbers right now, but it still sounds like one of the big 4 are gonna have to be moved.
I got an idea
here. Like
I got an idea.
What do you say?
I got an idea.
Let's hear it.
You want to hear it? Austin Matthews, long-term IL, reconstructive wrist surgery. Keep him off the books. Sign fucking Hyman. Sign a few more guys. Bring Austin back for the fucking start of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
You pull a Tampa Bay.
Just pull a fucking Tampa Bay.
You pull a Tampa Bay
because as far as I'm concerned, hey, Austin Matthews is the best goal scorer in the league. Don't get me wrong. He just won his Rocket Richard. I love it, but he's had that lingering wrist surgery the last few years, and he's been playing with that wrist injury too. Maybe, just maybe, halfway through the season or something, Austin Matthews needs surgery on his wrist. Gets the surgery done, recovery time, April fucking 25th. Right at the start of playoffs. Who knows, man? I don't know.
It'd be interesting to pull something crazy like that, because at the end of the day, I don't care how many goals he scores in the regular season.
I care about the playoffs.
The playoff is where it matters, right? It's what we all want to see happen. And it's funny that you mentioned that, because speaking of injuries, you've got Jack Eichel, who's currently in that boat. He wants to have surgery on that knee, and the team is saying, "Nuh-uh, we're not doing it."
Yeah.
And that's on top of the fact that, he's been kind of rumored to want out of Buffalo. So we both know what a shit show is going on in Buffalo right now. So Jack Eichel might be in that position where he goes to a new team. They say, "Hey, you know what? Get that surgery done and we'll figure it out." And then he might turn around and have an amazing bounce back, or maybe not. But I feel like at his age, he's 24, shouldn't be, a career-ending surgery. For some reason, Buffalo doesn't want to gamble. And Buffalo's not exactly a Stanley Cup contender right now. So if you're going to do it, this is the time for you to do it. But
the time to do it now. Hey, the guy wants fucking surgery on his knee. It should have been the time to do it a long time ago, so that he's healthy and training throughout the summer, getting ready for training camp.
I mean, fuck,
that's ridiculous.
Almost
that's
as fucked up, man. Their season ended so fast. They should have had him off on LTIR, getting that surgery done immediately. And focusing on his recovery. But now he sits as a $10 million cap hit, and still has he's entering his last year without a no movement clause, and then going into the next 4 years of his contract, he's got a no movement clause. And I don't know what they're thinking, but I just saw something else that kind of got my attention that people were complaining about this morning, which again is stupid. Leafs fans and not understanding how the cap works and any of that. Everybody was pissed off today or a couple of days ago when they saw a bunch of signing bonuses get cashed out July 1st, right?
Okay.
So you had Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner. I mean, a bunch of these guys collected their signing bonuses as of July 1st. And of course, this kind of re-triggered the minds of Leaf fans, because according to capfriendly.com, Austin Matthews got his $9.7 million cash bonus on July 1st. Nice little paycheck. Tavares got his 8.4. Marner got his 9.6. Willie got 3.5. And Kerfoot got 1.9.
Wow.
Jake Muzzin cashed in 5.5. And Morgan Riley, $2 million. Those are a lot of bonuses that got cashed out on July 1st. Damn. Yeah. But Yeah, so again, people are pissed off. But at the end of the day, signing bonuses do not count against the cap, so I really don't care.
Yeah, who the fuck cares? Why
They're
are these
making
guys
their
getting
money.
bonuses? They got knocked the first round. That's exactly what everyone's all
Well,
pissed
that's
off about.
exactly
Why
it.
are they getting
Everybody's
bonuses when they're not fucking playing? You know?
exactly. Now, this does go back to what I said a long time ago, how I feel the NHL's pay system should be completely restructured. I don't like the cap in how it ties the hands of several teams that should be able to afford more players. But
Okay.
what I feel should happen is there should be cap categories per position and based on classification, if you want to say, of a player. If you're deemed like an entry level, like a rookie, versus a mid-year player to a veteran type of thing. And it should be based on you've got a minimum salary every player makes at that position, and then plus plus. So your plus plus is all strictly based on performance. You want that signing bonus, you want that extra bonus, you need to hit targets. I mean, in a regular world of the workforce, that's essentially what it works for the regular average working human being. You get paid X amount of dollars, and every year you get your review. And if you're lucky, you'll get a measly fucking 5 cent to 10 cent raise hourly. I mean, but they review you based on a metric system, based on performance, where they compare you to other people in your class and see where you fit in kind of in that category.
Okay.
I feel like it should be fairly simple to do that in the NHL, considering you've got your positions. So every player at X position gets classified against all the other players in the league in that same position. You come up with a salary that's fair, and then put a cap on performance bonuses. Let the salaries be what they are, but then your performance bonus has to be capped out at whatever the value is. So now as a player, you've got a lot more to play for than just your annual salary. You're going to play it a little harder knowing that if I hit that 50 goal mark, I get X amount on top. If my team passes the first fucking round of the playoffs, hey, we all get an extra X amount on top. I feel like it would reestablish some sort of desire to play the game versus playing for your paycheck. In a sense, you are playing for your paycheck, but you're earning it. You're not just handed the money. And then if you're a bust, the team suffers. Whereas in this case, if you're a bust, it's like, hey man, you could have made 10 million this year, but you didn't hit the expectations of X amount of goals, assists, points, whatever the case may be. So you made 5 million this year.
Yeah.
I feel like it'd be interesting. They should try it out. I mean, it'll never happen, of course, but some of these guys are making.
It's a cool concept for sure, man.
Yeah, they're making some big money, and it hurts when you look at, okay, what have you done to earn that money? And the Leafs players can't really say much because, again, yeah, you got to the playoffs, but that's about as far as you got. You didn't get anywhere else. And, everybody's always worried about Boston and this and that. Once again, we failed to pass the first round, once again, leading 3-1, and this time to the freaking Montreal Canadiens, who are now currently playing in the Stanley Cup Finals and are down 2-1 now in Game 3, being down 2-0 in the series. How awesome would it feel that if this was Toronto, Tampa Bay in the Stanley Cup Final? Like, I feel like the Leafs would give Tampa a much better run than the Habs are giving them right now.
Yeah.
And it sucks. And I know people are going to sit here and say, oh, you Leaf fans, all you do is whine and complain and bitch. Yeah, because you're promised change and you're promised so much by management. They spend the right money. They get the right players. And then you can't blame essentially a guy like Dubas or Shanahan or Keefe really at this point, because it's like, on paper, we put together a team that should be playing for the Stanley Cup right now, but for some reason the players didn't work out. They didn't jive. I don't know what the case may be, but I feel like if I looked at this year's lineup, looking at it right now, I don't know that I could single-handedly say this guy was a bust this year. I honestly don't. Like, I mean, you can't blame Foligno. The guy came in and played what, a week?
Yeah.
Like, he
got
came
injured too, but
yeah, new system, got injured. There, I don't know what the expectation was there, and Riley Nash, same thing. He came in with that deal. Like, what were you expecting out of him? Galchenyuk was surprising. He played pretty good.
Yep.
Joe Thornton, we all said it. We love the thought. We love the idea. It was a pretty decent season, but in the playoffs, you could tell like he was chasing the game and just the wheels weren't there anymore. Maybe he's got to be in a different role. I don't know, but a team that's looking to go deep, Joe Thornton maybe isn't your guy. That would maybe be the only player that didn't work out to what most would have hoped for in Toronto. What do you think? Do you feel like there was someone who stuck out to you as the big disappointment this year?
In regards to the playoffs, Archie?
I'd say regular season.
Or just like the regular season and the playoffs?
I would say regular season because, I mean, I'm pretty sure we're all on the same page to say that Mitch Marner was the disappointment in the playoffs for this team, given...
Dude, the biggest disappointment was Wayne Simmons, to me, getting fucking injured and just not returning the same, man. Watching Wayne Simmons go out there the first 2 months of hockey, he was electric. He was in the face of the goalies. He was scoring goals. He was in tight. He was going hard to the net. He was another player on a arguably top 6 player on the Leafs that you had to watch out for in and around the net. He was putting goals in, and he was, like I said, he was dominating for a guy that's been around for over 10 years in the NHL, and to sign a contract the way he did, $1 million. And then to be on the first power play unit with like Matthews and Tavares and Marner, and for him to do what he was doing, screening goalies and just causing a bunch of disruption in front of that net. And then when he got injured, it hurt. Like we felt it as Leafs fans. There was that extra little bit of something that we didn't have on the ice. And when he came back all the way till playoffs, he just wasn't the same. And I can't blame this disappointment on Wayne Simmons because, hey, the guy broke his fucking wrist in half. Like, that sucks. But from a fan's perspective and a point of view, that was the thing that really hurt. I think it really kind of hurt the Maple Leafs in a sense to lose Wayne Simmons' kind of work ethic and what he had going on and that confidence that he played with and the momentum. To me, that was one of the biggest things, because if you guys go back and watch footage of those games with Wayne Simmons when he was playing Wayne Simmons type style hockey, my group chats, me and Archie, look at Wayne Train all fucking day. Choo choo. This guy is rocking it. He was fun to watch. And it was just something, an aspect of the game that the Maple Leafs were missing when he finally returned, and he just didn't have what he had going. But that's probably, for me, one of the more disappointing things this year, or something that kind of hurt the Maple Leafs in a sense, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can't argue with that. I mean, it did suck because, I mean, we saw so much potential. We saw, the Wayne Simmons that everybody was expecting to get in front of the net, cause shit, clean up that garbage, get those goals in tight. And you mentioned last week too with Tavares, that's the kind of goals he was getting into, right? Like, get in front of the net, clean up that garbage, get those rebounds, screen the goalies. That's the one thing that the Leafs really struggled with during the playoffs was getting that body in front, and they didn't do it at all.
Huge. I think that's the most impactful thing that happened to the Leafs. It wasn't Foligno not playing that well, or Wayne Simmons, or Joe Thornton. To me, I agree with you, Archie. I think the most significant fucking impactful thing with the Leafs in the playoffs was John Tavares going down, because he's a dog on a bone in the corners around the net, chirps after the whistles a little bit, gets in people's faces. He wears the C, and fucking it really hurt when we lost him, man. I think it would have been a different fucking series, and I think we would have won in that game 5 in that overtime, or even before. It wouldn't even went to overtime if we had John Tavares there doing John Tavares things, man.
Yeah, you're right. And it's funny, there's been no word on him and his recovery so far in the offseason. I would assume he should be good to go for the start of the season next year. But there hasn't been much word on him. And we'll see how it goes. I mean, the expansion draft, when's that happening? I think that's looking it up right now. The expansion draft is scheduled for July 21st. So July 21st is kind of the time where we're going to see things happen when it comes to I guess, the whole league. Of course, every team gets impacted, but also to what moves the Leafs will make after that in hopes that they'll improve the team. Today we saw Minnesota lock up, what's his name? Joel Eriksson Ek to an 8-year deal, $42 million. So it carries a $5.25 million average, 24 years old. I mean, again, that puts another value. He's at $5.25 million. He's up there in that range that Nugent Hopkins got. So it'll be interesting.
That's a decent threshold for a player of that caliber. So
Yeah,
we'll see what happens
in that $5 million range. Some more news. There's talks that Chicago is looking to move Duncan Keith. That's been a big talk. The Oilers are apparently really kicking tires on trying to get him to Edmonton. Not sure how he'll fit in. He might.
I think that's ridiculous, bud.
Yeah, like I don't know. I don't know where Duncan Keith fits in. I mean, he's not the Duncan Keith that won the Stanley Cups with Chicago anymore. He's definitely
he's on his way. He's on his way out, man. Edmonton would be so stupid to do that. I understand the leadership quality back there, but are you going to sign Keith to play bottom 6 minutes? I guess you could, but I don't think it's going to help your team unless it's helping inside the dressing room.
Yeah. And he's 37 years old. I'm not sure how much you're going to get out of him at this point. This past season with Chicago, 54 games, he had 15 points. He was a -13. Not the best numbers to write home about. I mean, he's had a great career otherwise, but
fuck yeah, he's one of the best fucking Canadian defensemen in the last 20 years.
Yeah, he's definitely on the downfall. I mean, the guy was drafted in 2002. Whole career in Chicago. It's almost like they're giving him a chance to go win somewhere. Edmonton's probably not the place to go. I don't know that they're a Duncan Keith away from winning a Stanley Cup, right? So, so that's interesting to see where he ends up. I was just looking to see if there's any other big names or whatnot being talked about, but that's pretty much it when it comes to other players around the league.
Hey, Archie, unless Duncan Keith comes in and he plays like a Ron Hainsey, bud.
Yeah,
Ron Hainsey actually complimented Morgan Riley pretty well when he was here, man. They actually had a good little thing, and we signed him at, I think it was 37 years old when he came over. But that being said, I don't know. We'll see.
Yep. And then there was a trade also between the Kings and Predators. The Kings acquired Victor Arvidsson from Nashville for a 2021 second pick and a 2022 third round pick. Pretty good deal there because Arvidsson's not exactly, a player to sleep on, and to only have to give up, a second and a third rounder for him, not bad at all. Pretty good pickup for LA here.
I like it. LA is on the rebuild and retool of their roster, and all I know next year is that they have a couple key guys that are going to be on that team, and hopefully Quentin Byfield starts off a fresh season. We'll see what happens, man. That kid. I hope that kid is going to be something in the NHL and a significant piece to being maybe a superstar or something. Because I liked watching his junior games. He wasn't as impactful as I'd liked him to be, but you can tell sometimes when he got the puck, like the talent is there. So hopefully he transitions into a fucking good star. And LA needs to retool, man, because those LA teams in the early 2011s and 12s and whatever, they were fun to watch, man. And it's been a while since they've been a hard-nosed, fun team to watch. I mean, Kopitar, Doughty getting a little older. They lost Muzzin to us. And Dustin Brown's not the same as he used to be. You know what I mean? So they're retooling. They're getting younger. They lost Toffoli as well. There's another guy. But LA, LA is one of those old franchises that have been around for a long time. I know you're a big Gretzky guy, Archie, and Gretzky was in LA for at one point in his career too. But yeah, we'll see. It's always good to have good LA teams. And Victor Arvidsson, yeah, I remember, I think 4 or 5 years ago when he kind of came into the league or whatever, what a hell of a fucking season he had his rookie year, man. I think he scored over 30 goals. So the guy's got talent, and he's a smaller guy, but he's really fast and he has good puck sense. So yeah, good move by LA.
Yeah, he's a towering 5'9". He's not big at all, 28 years old. Yeah. And just looking at his stats, yeah, when he broke out into his first full NHL season, I guess you could say, of a full 80-game season in 2016, he had 61 points, 30 assists, 31 goals, not bad. And then followed up the next year, again with 61 points. So a very nice pickup for LA, sacrificing 2 picks there.
Still in this prime.
Real quick, going back to Zach Hyman. So it sounds like you said, that threshold was set in and around that $5 million mark. So if you're the Leafs, you can't give him, say, a 5-year deal or a 6-year deal in that $5 million mark because it's going to hurt you. Do you think that A, Zach Hyman would look for this, and B, that the Leafs would consider this, is give him 7 years at 4.5, so it gives him longevity, and it works out to, that 31 in and around $31.5 million mark. Come play $31.5 million, 7-year deal, locks him in for a long time, pretty much commits to playing for Toronto, and you get him at 4.5 against the cap. That's a little more doable than having to fork out the 5.5. You're saving about around $1 million that you could probably toss elsewhere.
Yeah.
Although I still feel like even doing this, they're still going to have to look at moving one of the big 4.
Yeah.
I don't see how else they make it work.
I don't know, but I just want Zach Hyman on the team. What you just said, I mean, that sounds kind of doable, but I don't know. There's so many different components and parts that go into contract negotiations. Like, you look at this, Zach Hyman, great player when he's healthy, unreal talent, goes to the net hard, found a bit of a scoring touch this year around the net, which was really nice to see. Finishes hits, gets in the faces of opponents, and he's fearful. Like, the guy has no fear. But that being said, hey man, he's had some pretty tough blows with the injury bug. He's been bitten a few times as a Maple Leaf in the last few years, whether it's hips or ankles or whatever. So that's the only thing. You sign him to a long contract, and it's like, well, is this guy going to be, he's 29 now, at 35, 36 years old or whatever, is he going to be okay? Like, or are we going to be losing that $4.5 million after 2 or 3 years of him being a Maple Leaf because he blew out his knee or his back or something? There's so many different things, but I mean, you go with the best possible thing you can go with at the time and situation that you have. And at the moment, he's not too banged up. I know he was a little bit banged up during playoffs or whatever, but at the moment, he's not too banged up. And he's ready to go, and he's on a contract negotiation year. He needs to get paid, whatever the thought process is with Dubas and Shanahan. I feel like we just got to find a way to sign Zach Hyman, even if it's for 3 years. I feel like there's still a window for the Maple Leafs within this next 4 or 5 years. That's what our stars are signed to. But we move a piece like a Mitch Marner, that clears up room to sign Zach Hyman to a good contract and a stable contract. 5 years would be great, I feel like. And then you could bring in another fucking stud, maybe a defenseman, to play top 4, maybe top 2, with about $5 million, $6 million. And hey, Bob's your uncle. You're retooled. You got a little bit of a new dynamic, a little bit of a new look. And I don't know, just thinking at the top of my head, but
now the reason I mentioned that is because it is almost definite that Alex Kerfoot gets picked up by Seattle. So that frees up $3.5 million for 2 years straight, which now means if you gave Hyman that 5.5, you're really only losing you're really only losing $2 million the next 2 seasons. You could make it work, and then you got some of the young guys you can bring in, but it all comes down to if Kerfoot gets picked up. I feel like he will. I'm almost certain he will. Where you can kind of free that up. Now, where you got to worry is that next year, Morgan Riley is a UFA.
Heard the rumors about trading him too, bud.
And now with Morgan Riley currently making $5 million this year, you got to look at comparables. Jake Muzzin signed for the next 3 seasons at 5.6, and then you've got TJ Brody making 5, Justin Hall making 2. So where does Morgan Riley fit into that? Does he fit into that $5 million a year category? Probably. Yeah. Can the Leafs afford that? I don't know. So that's a big one there, because next year they got to look at that. Like, what do you do? How do you replace Riley. And I mean, is there somebody out there that they could probably land? I feel like there might be. And like you said, could he be the guy that gets traded this year to free up some money and leave the top four untouched for now? I don't know.
A lot of talks about Dougie Hamilton, a lot of talks about Seth Jones. Who knows, man? I really don't know what we're going to do. Only time will tell, bud.
And when you look at Dougie Hamilton, he's coming off a $5.7 million contract. And Seth Jones is coming off of a, where is he here? He's coming off of 5.4. So they're all going to be commanding in and around that 5.5 a year.
Yeah.
I'd love Seth Jones in Toronto. Heck, I
Holy hell.
don't mind Dougie Hamilton either.
Wouldn't hurt, that's for
happened
sure.
to Riley last year. I mean, we didn't see the same Riley in the playoffs that I was expecting. That's for sure.
Me neither, bud. He had a bit of an off year, Morgan Riley, man. Gave up the puck a little bit too much for my liking. Didn't rush the puck up at all during the regular season. Totally changed up his game plan in playoffs. So tried to rush the puck too much and then got caught and came back and they shoved it down our throats half the time. So yeah, I don't know.
Yep. And then the other thing is the Leafs still got to find a replacement assistant coach, which will play into.
The Pascal's gone. Yep. Bruce Boudreau.
I feel like that.
Randy Carlyle.
Do you think Randy Carlyle will take an assistant role?
I don't know, but he's older. He's been around the game for a long time. Why the fuck not?
I mean, it'd be interesting. And it'd be interesting to see what dynamic it would have with, because he had Freddie with him in Anaheim. So it'd be interesting to see what happens there if his input means anything.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Bruce Boudreau, and I'd like to kind of have it where it's set up for him to kind of take more of a lead role over Sheldon Keefe, and maybe Sheldon Keefe learn from him.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's a lot of experience there that Sheldon Keefe is lacking. I think, it all depends on who the team is able to put in front of these coaches and say, hey, here's your team for the season. Do what you can. Do what you got to do with it. But I'm starting to feel that Leafs Nation is slowly starting to dwindle to the point where it's like, enough is enough. What do we really need to do here? What's the problem? Like, do you trade? Do you blow it up? I don't think they should blow it up, but at some point something's got to give. And I was a Nylander hater when it came down to his contract, but now looking at his contract and the value he brings, he is in fact the best contract the Leafs have. So you really can't. You'd be crazy.
The guy's going to score you over 30 goals every season with 30, 40 assists. Yeah. Fuck, and he's only like 24 years old still or whatever. To me, that's great. That's a great contract. I like the Willie Nylander contract. You can't give that one up. You got to get rid of one of the bigger ones.
Yeah, so it'll be very interesting to see where they take it and what they end up doing.
If we still had Nazem Kadri, then maybe you look at, man, whatever he would sign for, it's not going to be $11 million Tavares signing, that's for sure. But that being said, if we still somehow had Nazem Kadri on this team, then I bet you a lot of fingers would be pointed at Tavares, because at least you have a second-line centerman after Austin Matthews. But right now, you need Austin Matthews and John Tavares running the team down the middle for those top two lines. Who's the odd man out here? Unfortunately, it is Mitch fucking Marner at just under 11 million per average. Like, it's fucked up. It's hard to say, dude, trust me, it's hard to say to a 100-point a season guy that is as young as he is, and he's probably going to be like 110, 15 fucking points every year if he's healthy. Unbelievable talent. Is this guy going to wake up in playoffs and play playoff hockey ever? Or is he going to be scared the way he's looked and nervous and just not the player we see during the regular season? He tries to play the same hockey that he plays in the regular season, but it's fucking playoffs. You need to get hype. You need to amp it up. You need to change up your game style just a bit. Finish a hit. Go to the corners. Take a hit to make a play.
Yeah.
Don't turn over the puck. And those are fucking things that Mitch Marner did all playoffs long. And guys read it so fast. They were like, as soon as you get on this kid, he's going to fucking give the puck up, and he doesn't like to be touched. So go get him. And, man, I would hope that if we do have Mitch Marner in a Maple Leaf jersey next year and we make playoffs, I would love to see him prove everyone wrong. Trust me, I would love it to see him change up his game style just a little bit, be a significant piece in the playoffs, do the fucking right things in playoff format hockey. But he's had 5 chances now, and he's had the same fucking effect every year. I don't know. Regular seasons. Playoffs is playoffs. The Leafs are good enough to make playoffs without Mitch Marner. They have enough talent, skill, and speed, and the young guys on the team to be able to do this. So, but we need hard-nosed guys that are gonna. We need Gallagher's and Hyman's and Foligno's, if Foligno was healthy playing playoff hockey, guys like that are gonna go mess it up a little bit, stir it up, score some goals. Mitch Marner doesn't have a playoff goal in 17 playoff games, guys. That's pretty bad. You're an $11 million player. You don't have a goal. I understand you're an assist and playmaker, but goals are huge in playoffs. You need to fucking put the puck in the back of the net. He was unable to do that in 17 playoff games. That really fucking hurts. That's one of the reasons why the Leafs aren't fucking going through too, because we have high caliber players that aren't showing up. And man, does it fall on Mitch Marner a lot, man, just by his game style and the way he played the last 2 years in playoffs.
And that's the thing. And with Marner, he's one of those players where he's only going to get better, but it's that contract that hurts. Because if he was at, if there was I don't even know if they do this in the NHL, but if there was a possibility of renegotiating his contract, which I don't think I've ever heard of happening in the NHL.
No.
If that opportunity was there and he said, hey man, you know what? I'm dedicated to Toronto. Let's extend it 2 years, but take away some of that salary to add it to those 2 years. That would show the dedication and the loyalty to him and this team. But when it comes down to, the stories about his father and how much of a part he had in this contract negotiating, he may be like, fuck you, man. Like, this is the money I'm making. If you don't like it, trade me. And
don't forget, Marner held out too for a little bit on the Leafs, man. He just got in there just in time for training camp. He was holding out all summer long too. And that being said, man, it totally changes the dynamic of Leaf fans and how they feel about Mitch Marner. If Mitch Marner signs an 8-year fucking $6 or $7 million a year fucking contract, that's still making $1 million more than William Nylander, whose point totals before Mitch Marner was playing on a line with John Tavares, which kind of just woke up a new monster for Mitch Marner. But man, Kucherov had a 120-point season or whatever for Tampa Bay and signed a contract the year after he did that, and I think he's making like less than 9. The best winger in the league.
Yeah,
but Mitch Marner wants to hold out and make centerman, fucking first line centerman money in the NHL. Superstar studded centerman money in the NHL. I don't know, bud.
It's going to be tough. And Tampa Bay just made it 3-1, and it was your boy Kucherov makes it 3-1.
Cooch.
I think it's safe to say, to stick a fork in them, Montreal might be very well done here. I mean, you go down 3-0, good luck. But Tampa Bay is just all over them. 3 goals on 12 shots, and Montreal's got 1 goal on 18 shots. Like, it's nuts. Watching Tampa Bay play is like watching Timbit hockey with their opponents. It's like practice for them. It's unbelievable the way these guys move the puck and how there's somehow someone always open. It almost looks like Tampa's constantly on the power play. That's how quick they are. It's nuts.
Dude, out of their 12 fucking forwards, I'm telling you, out of their 12 forwards, 10 of them can fucking score goals, make passes, and be impactful every shift. And they're all quick. Have you seen them skate?
Oh, yeah.
Passes are crisp. They're fucking lightning fast. And dude, what the hell, man? I mean, their roster is unbelievable. They're just tearing apart the league, man.
Yeah.
It's nothing new.
In the regular season, unreal, man. In the regular season, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players with over 30 points in the regular season. And
Killorn, Yanni Gord, Sorelli, like Stamkos, Kucherov, Braden Point. They're like, you can just keep going, man. It's fucking crazy. They're just so good.
Stamkos, like it's an unbelievable team. Like these guys are just
they put Tyler Johnson on waivers. Tyler Johnson is a quick fucking little. He's a tiny guy, but hey, the guy will score you some goals here and there, and he's fucking quick as hell. Like he doesn't give up the puck too often. And they had a guy like him on waivers. So that being said, I don't know. Tampa Bay is they're built different, man.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And I'm watching this, and as I'm watching this, I'm thinking, oh my God, Curtis McElhinney may very well win back-to-back Stanley Cups with Tampa Bay as a backup. Unreal. Yep. And we have.
And as we're watching this, Pat Maroon might three-peat.
Oh, yeah.
St. Louis, Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay.
Wow.
Motherfucker. 3 Stanley Cup rings at the end of your fucking career. What a crazy thing.
Also 4-1 Tampa Bay.
4-1 Tampa Bay.
And it's like constantly looks like, I'm telling you, it constantly looks like a power play. Like they just went in on what odd man rushes. It's been steady odd man rushes. And who scored that? Tyler Johnson. You just mentioned his name, and that's who just scored.
What the fuck? Do we not know what we're talking about on Between the Pipes?
Unreal.
Do we not know?
Odd man rush. He gets a rebound, pots it in, and it's 4-1.
See that? It's fucking crazy. It's insane. It's insane what's unfolding here, and the Tampa Bay just up and down the lineup all the way through. 12 guys just have dominance in them. They have energy. They have speed. They have quickness. Their passing is tight. They have drive. They got good work ethic. They work hard. It's fun. They're big guys. Like oh man, they're just they play like they're all fucking 8-foot giants. Like it's unbelievable what they're doing. And then to have Vasilevsky and net on the back end, come on. I would not go to the front of the net with Victor Hedman fucking staring at me, but I am not having a Sasquatch of a man rub my face with his big ass paw glove. But I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't want to do it. I mean, if I was making millions of dollars, I would do it. But as a fucking fan watching the game, that defense, Savard is a beast. Hedman is a beast. McDonough, he's a pretty solid dude too. Sergachev, I don't know how much he weighs, maybe a buck fucking 95 or 200 pounds soaking wet, but he's like 6'6" Like, fuck, man. Unreal.
What did the series go last year in the finals? You remember? And it was, they played Dallas in the finals?
Yes. So, I think they won it in 6 games.
So they won it in 6 games. They won
it in 6 games. But you know what? What's fucked up about that is Dallas was they were so injured, man, last year.
Yeah, they were.
Poor fucking Dallas. They had nothing. They were tanked, man.
Yeah. And I mean,
but that being said, I think that Tampa was destined to win the cup anyways, so
that's it, man. And like they won it 4-2 last year, and Dallas at least made it a series. Like they, as injury riddled as they were, they kept the games close. I mean, they lost the first one 4-1, then they won the second one 3-2, then they lost 5-2, they lost 5-4.
Yeah. I know one guy that's probably knocking his head against the wall right now, Mr. Zach Bogosian on the fucking blue line for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Man, I could have had 2 Stanley Cups. Fuck. Toronto took me and we got outed by this fucking team that's already down fucking almost 3 games to none. I honestly feel for you, Zach Bogosian. I know. Well, I don't know. I don't even want to understand how you feel right now. Fuck, you got the shit out of the stick in that trade, buddy.
I'm telling you, I've got this game on in the background. And it's just,
it wasn't a trade. It was a fucking free agency, I think. But
yeah.
But hey, man, it's too bad that he couldn't stick with Tampa Bay, man.
Just Montreal looks so lost. Like you don't even skating into their own zone. Like Suzuki just got manhandled in the corner, and just like that, Tampa Bay breaks out and they're back out the other way. Like they are just dynamite. Like they are a team to watch, and I hope that the Leafs use Tampa Bay's model when it comes to putting together a championship team whenever the hell they decide to do that.
I hope that the Leafs even use a little bit of Montreal's fucking model. Fucking try your hardest. Get dirty. Go to the net. Fucking scuff people up. Do what you got to do. I really do. The Leafs could take off. The Leafs could look at any team that moved on and probably take something from that series, man, because what we watched was some of the most disappointing hockey I've ever watched in my entire life. I think it was the most disappointing hockey I've ever seen, with exception to a couple of the games the Maple Leafs played. It was so bad, and that Game 7 goes down in my history. Being on this earth as a human being, it goes down as the worst fucking hockey game. Game 7 I've ever witnessed in my whole life. It was just like what you just described, how Montreal looks right now. That's kind of how the Leafs started Game 7 against Montreal. Just, we looked defeated already, unfocused, no momentum, no drive, no balls, no nothing. Fuck.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Like, I'm looking at this Montreal team, and it's like they're still playing, but for what?
They're deflated.
You're deflated. It's 4-1 midway through the second, and you can't figure out Vasilevsky. And
what you were just saying, Archie, that's another 4 goals on Carey Price. Now 12 goals against in 3 fucking playoff games.
And it's not over. I don't think Tampa's going to coast at 4-1 here. So Montreal's going to have to start gambling now. They're going to get caught. Tampa Bay is already fast enough as it is. It's just going to get worse for them. And I honestly, I don't know, man. If I'm Tampa, I don't go for the sweep. I give Montreal Game 5 and go home and win it, because there's no way. There's no way Montreal is going to win. Like, it's just, again, I'm watching this, another odd man rush, 2-on-1, and close, almost a 5-1 game. So it's like, when you're playing like this and you're in the Stanley Cup Finals, like, you got no shot. They got no shot. Montreal has no business being here, and they had an interesting path to the finals.
They were basically a 500 team that got into the Stanley Cup Finals. Like, it's a crazy, unbelievable story, and the history has been written already, still being written right now. But man, you're running into a reigning Stanley Cup team that is still playing fucking Stanley Cup hoisting hockey. So,
and you know what kills me is I'm looking at, where the hell does Tampa sit as a team that's in cap trouble? They're not in any trouble. They've got nobody on that team is making over 9.5, which is Kucherov's salary. Nobody is in the double digits. Vasilevsky's making 9.5 and Kucherov's making 9.5. Steven Stamkos is making 8.5. Braden Point 6.75. Come on. Like, man, Alex Killorn 4.45. Like, come on. These guys are set for another season if they really wanted to. Like, it's unbelievable. Kucherov's locked in until 26-27 at $9.5 million. He's going to retire a player for the Lightning. It's just unreal how they're able to put together a team like this with that salary. And here we are with a bunch of greedy guys trying to make all the money at once and not really looking for that Stanley Cup from the looks of it.
I go back to Lou Lamoriello and then Dubas taking over, but I wonder what the contract negotiations would have been for our 4 top guys if Lou Lamoriello was there, but I really do.
Yeah, like, I honestly
Lou Lamoriello is not one to shake in his seat or feel any type of way if he has a greedy youngster trying to come in and fucking take money from the Toronto Maple Leafs when he was there. He would have been like, oh, you want to sit out then? Okay, sure. Sit out. Grow your beard at home. Go ahead, kid.
Yeah, I feel like if anything, JT would have been the only guy that would have earned his paycheck, because Lou knows him and knows his game and knows what he brings to the table.
And knows that he was up for his big contract.
Yeah.
Austin Matthews, I guarantee $10 million. Mitch Marner, I bet you 7.5, 8. William Nylander, 6.5, and that's it. I bet you it would have been exactly like that, but
yeah, I feel like you got to earn your pay with these older GMs, whereas these young guys, I mean, Dubas made numbers happen. They crunched numbers. They made it work, but it's like they made it work for a.
Dubas was a fan.
all in.
Dubas is a fan of hockey. He's a fan of Mitch Marner, and it's like being a fan of a celebrity. He was like, "Oh, goody goody, I'm going to give you all the money you want. Let's stay in Toronto." Whereas Lou Malmorano is a businessman, going, "This is what it's going to be. If you don't like it, then fuck off. That's just the way it is. Welcome to the NHL, bud." I don't know, man. Crazy.
And I wonder even what Shanahan, like what he plays in all this, because he's a very quiet, very, very secluded person. So you don't really know. Every picture I've seen with him and Dubas together at a press conference is always him kind of just glaring at Dubas. And it's like, what part does Shanahan have in all this? Where does he say, hey, man, enough is enough. This isn't working.
I don't know, buddy.
I don't know. Anyways, we're almost going on 2 hours here. I've got nothing else. We've got potentially, actually, I'm willing to say by next show, we will have a Stanley Cup champion. Very likely. Very likely.
I think so. The next show might be one of our last shows for this year, until I guess training camp starts up. We can start talking hockey again. But anyways, we still got another show, so we can't say goodbyes yet. But we have a lot to talk about Stanley Cup champions. Whoever's going to hoist the cup within the next week or so. So, yeah.
Absolutely. So, with that being said, guys, we'll see you next week. And go Leafs, go forever, regardless of if they're playing golf or whatnot. But we'll see. I think Tampa wins the cup. Wade, I'm sure you agree. And we will talk about that some more next week. And before we go, we'll leave you off with this, guys. Thanks again. We'll see you next Friday.
Ciao.